You know, some historical figures are easy to label. Hero, villain, genius, fool. But every now and then, you get someone who's all of them at once. He was a visionary who built an empire. He was also a paranoid tyrant who bathed that empire in blood. This is the story of Ivan IV, Russia's very first Tsar, the man we all know as Ivan the Terrible. I mean, just look at this. It's like we're talking about two completely different people. On one side, you have the builder. This is the guy who expanded Russia's borders, dragged its laws into the modern era, and created a professional standing army, an absolute game changer. But then, there's the other side, the butcher, the man who created a terrifying secret police force, ordered the slaughter of entire cities, and in a fit of rage, killed his own son. So the big question is, how does that happen? How does one person become both the hero and the villain of their own story? What could possibly turn a brilliant leader into a monster? Well, that's exactly what we're going to try and figure out. To really get a handle on the man, we have to go back to the beginning, because the terror of Ivan's reign, it was forged in the fears of his childhood. And when you look at his youth, it's just brutal. His father dies when he's just 3. His mother is gone by the time he's 8, and it's pretty likely she was poisoned. So for the rest of his childhood, young Ivan is basically a pawn in the games of these powerful, feuding, and noble families, the boyars. He later said they treated him like a beggar in his own home, ignored, humiliated. That kind of thing, it sticks with you, and it taught him a lesson he never forgot. Trust absolutely no one. So what does he do? At just 16 years old, he makes a move that stuns everyone. He doesn't just take the throne. He declares himself the first ever Tsar of all Russia. Now that word, Tsar, it comes from Caesar. This wasn't just a new title. It was a massive statement. He was saying, I'm an absolute ruler, my power comes directly from God, and I am equal to the greatest emperors in history. The old guard had no idea what hit them. And for a while there, it really looked like all that power was going to be used for good. He worked with a group of advisors he trusted, his chosen council, and just started transforming the country. He updated the entire legal code, created the Streltsy, Russia's first professional soldiers with firearms, and even brought together a national assembly. He even brought the first printing press to Moscow. I mean, this guy was dragging Russia into the modern world. And he didn't stop with reforms at home. Oh no. He launched these incredible military campaigns and conquered the huge territories of Kazan and Astrakhan. Suddenly, Russia controlled the entire massive Volga River. This was the moment the old kingdom of Muscovy truly became an empire. And to celebrate, he built that building you've all seen pictures of, the incredible St. Basil's Cathedral in Moscow. So, for about a decade, things are looking up. Ivan is this powerful, effective, visionary ruler. But then, 1560 happens, and everything changes. His reign takes a sharp, dark, and incredibly violent turn, and it would never be the same again. The trigger, the thing that seems to have just broken him, was the death of his wife, Anastasia. He truly adored her, and everyone said she was the one person who could calm his temper. So when she dies, suddenly and mysteriously, Ivan completely unravels. He becomes absolutely convinced that the boyars, the same nobles he hated and feared from his childhood, had poisoned her. It's like her death just flipped a switch in his head, unleashing all the demons from his youth. His paranoia became his entire world. It was fed by everything. Friends betraying him, a long, brutal war in Livonia that wasn't going well, all of it, just mixed with those old, bitter memories of being a helpless child. The reformer was gone. In his place was a tyrant. And this new, paranoid Ivan was about to create an institution of terror unlike anything Russia had ever seen before. It had a name, the Oprichnina. So what he does is, well, it's pretty wild. He literally splits his own country into 2. One part can keep being run by the nobles, but the other part, the Oprichnina, becomes his own personal territory, where his word is the only law. And to enforce that law, he creates the Oprichniki. Think of them as his personal death squad, dressed all in black, Russia's first secret police. Their only job was to hunt down his enemies and terrorize anyone who questioned. And the terror, it's hard to even describe. The Oprichniki didn't just arrest people. They used the most sadistic forms of torture and public execution imaginable. You can see some of the methods here. Ivan had decided that the only way to guarantee loyalty was through absolute, bone-chilling fear. He would even personally watch and sometimes take part in the torture. And if you want to understand the scale of this horror, just look at what happened to the city of Novgorod in 1570. Ivan got it in his head that the city was planning to betray him, so he sent in the oprychny. For 5 straight weeks, they ransacked the city. One chronicle estimates they killed 60,000 people. 60,000! Men, women, children, it didn't matter. It was a state-sponsored massacre. But the violence wasn't just for his political enemies. It was personal. In 1581, he gets into a furious argument with his oldest son, his heir, also named Ivan. And in the middle of it, the Tsar grabs his heavy, pointed staff and strikes his son on the head. The blow killed him. In a single moment of uncontrollable rage, Ivan murdered his own child, dooming the very dynasty he had fought so brutally to protect. Ivan died a few years later, in 1584. He left behind a Russia that was so much bigger than the one he inherited, but it was also broken, traumatized, and ruled by a legacy of fear that's still debated to this day.
When you look at his report card, it's a mess of contradictions. Territorially, an A+. He pushed Russia's borders all the way into Siberia. But economically, a total failure. His wars and purges completely wrecked the country. And politically, well, he created the blueprint for the Russian autocrat. A single, all-powerful ruler who answers to nobody but God. And that model would cast a very, very long shadow.
And the immediate result of his reign was just pure chaos. Remember, he'd killed his capable heir, so the throne went to his younger son who just wasn't up to the job. When he died, the ancient Rurik dynasty died with him, and Russia fell apart. It was called the Time of Troubles, a period of famine, civil war, and invasion that almost completely destroyed the country. But maybe the most chilling part of Ivan's legacy is who started looking up to him centuries later. Joseph Stalin, of all people, saw Ivan as a role model. He actually defended Ivan's cruelty, and this quote is just, wow. Stalin's only criticism was that Ivan wasn't ruthless enough. For a 20th century dictator, Ivan the Terrible wasn't a warning. He was an instruction manual. Okay, so that was a lot. It's a complicated and frankly disturbing story. So let's try to boil it all down into 5 key takeaways about Ivan the Terrible. All right, number 1, he was the empire builder who massively expanded Russia. 2, he was the first Tsar, the man who literally defined what it meant to be an absolute ruler in Russia. 3, you have to remember his reign was a story of 2 completely different halves, a bright start and a horrifically dark end. 4, he was an architect of terror, pioneering the whole idea of a secret police to enforce his will. And finally, 5, he leaves behind this contested legacy where he's still seen as both a great nation builder and an unforgivable monster.
Which brings us right back to that first question. Was he a necessary monster? Was all that cruelty just what it took to forge a powerful, unified Russia out of chaos? Or was he simply a paranoid tyrant, a man so broken by his own past that he inflicted his personal demons on an entire nation? The shadow of Russia's first terrible Tsar is long, and it's a question that Russia, and the rest of us, are still wrestling with today.